A decentralized autonomous organization is a digital organization without a central management or leadership structure. They are commonly referred to as DAOs. DAOs are a new form of organization. The idea is that they exist entirely online and that decisions are made collectively. They're also legally recognized, though it's still very early days for this type of organization. All the members share a unity of purpose and always attempt to act in good faith with the best interests of the entity in mind. All decisions get made in a bottom-up approach, fully governed by the community and organized by a common or specific set of rules enforced on the blockchain. They have built-in treasuries which are a peculiar part of their structure and can only be accessed by approval of their members. Decisions are made by proposals in which members of the group, which are usually token holders, get to vote on proposals they want approved on a specified period. All votes and activities by token holders or members of a DAO is viewable to the public. The blockchain contains all of that information. To truly understand a DAO, we must first understand the architecture. Or one of the major features or characteristics of digital currencies is that they are decentralized, which means they are not under the influence or control of organization or institution like a government or central bank, but instead their components or nodes are divided among a variety of networks and computers. They are entities, which work without any form of hierarchical management or oversight. With this knowledge of cryptocurrency and its architecture, a group of developers in the year 2016 decided to create a new form of organization based on the characteristics learnt from cryptocurrencies and created a decentralized autonomous organization with its group of members and leaders acting as the governing body. A DAO operates through smart contracts, which are essentially blocks of code which only execute or run when a specific set of rules are met. These are logically coded rules or agreements which dictate processes or decision-making in the blockchain. These smart contracts establish the rules of the DAO. It means that anyone with a stake in the DAO can have say in how it operates and managed, by voting on or creating new governance proposals which must be agreed on by all its members. For example, based on certain outcomes or results, certain actions may be taken, like increasing a certain supply of a currency, burn a certain amount of reserve tokens, or issuing rewards to existing token holders, and much more. This method will reduce the likelihood of DAO spam by preventing any proposals that don't have majority approval from passing. DAOs are 100% transparent and autonomous, with all voting information stored on the blockchain. You can audit them at any time to ensure they have no expenditure issues, as every financial transaction is recorded on the blockchain. The benefits which the DAO brings is the lack of trust necessary or needed for two parties to conduct transactions, unlike traditional organizations which require a certain level or high level of trust to function. The lack of hierarchy means that any member or stakeholder can bring forth an innovative idea and it will be considered and improved upon by the entire group, and any internal disputes are quickly resolved through the voting system in line with the coded logical rules within the smart contract. DAOs give investors the opportunity to pool funds together and invest in early-stage decentralized projects while sharing any risks or profits that may or may not come out of them. There are multiple reasons and benefits why entities may want to pursue the DAO structure in organizational building. One of the first and most obvious benefits is the principal-agent dilemma. The dilemma usually surfaces as a conflict of the difference between the goals and priorities of an individual or group and those making decisions acting on their behalf. Problems usually occur in certain situations, such as when stakeholders believe a chief executive or board of directors in not acting in their best interest but in their own self-interest. A DAO provides a solution to this issue of centralized decision-making. Decisions that impact an organization can be made by the public with a DAO, rather than a central authority or group. DAOs decentralize authority across a larger range of users. Employees or stakeholders are better performers when they're involved with decision-making and have a say in all matters. Within a DAO, votes are cast on the blockchain and made publicly viewable. This incentivizes and will encourage actions that benefit the DAO community. It's important to understand that the DAO is a concept of people coming together for a unified vision and aim. With just an internet connection, token holders can interact with their counterparts or stakeholders anywhere they may reside. The DAO offers a way for their treasuries to increase and raise funding by trading one currency for another. The native token represents each stakeholder's voting power and ownership portions of the DAO across its members. If the DAO is successful, then token value increases. The DAO can then choose to issue future tokens at a greater value to raise more capital for its treasuries. A DAO can also invest in assets if the members approve such initiatives and believe it is in the best interest of the DAO. A DAO can decide to acquire companies and tokens, and if these increase in value over a period of time, the value of the DAO token also increases simultaneously. Critics have said that the DAO is still very vulnerable to programming bugs and malicious actors. The DAO is still relatively a new piece of technology and organization and is charting new territory in terms of regulation and corporate law, and the legal ramifications of such an organizational structure are still being defined. Investors are still somewhat concerned that they would be liable for actions taken by the DAO. However, this should not be a hindrance as new innovations and technologies appear in society. There is always a period in which it is fully adopted and integrated into the current legal and societal frameworks which already exist. A DAO is launched primarily within 3 stages. These are smart contract creation, funding for its treasuries, and deployment of the DAO itself. In the first step of smart contract creation, you will create the smart contract that will regulate the DAO. After the launch, they can only change the existing rules of the DAO through the voting and governance systems. This requires that adequate testing must be carried out to ensure no important detail is overlooked before it is launched. In order to use the DAO, developers need to create smart contracts and store them in the DAO. Giving this project funding will then enable it to enact the budget set out in their governance. The investors in a project are entitled to vote on how much more funding is given. They then receive coins that provide them with authority to partake in future governance decisions. Once the details of the DAO contract have been set and it has been sufficiently funded, you are ready to deploy the DAO on the blockchain. From this point onwards, the stakeholders with tokens are then responsible for guiding and deciding the future of the organization. The company's creators who wrote the smart contracts have no more control over it than token holders. The DAO as an entity is intended to improve the traditional management structure of many companies and organizations that exist today. Most companies or institutions today rely on a single individual or a small group to guide its direction, which sometimes lead to unwanted circumstances such as bureaucracies, directed self-interest and more. But a DAO is intended to reverse the process and give every member a voice, vote and opportunity to propose initiatives. A DAO will also abide by strict governance rules that are specified in the codebase of the smart contract. How the future of DAOs play out is yet to be seen, but we believe there will be several variations that companies will adopt to govern all or some of their activities.